To rephrase an arbitrager's quip, one can earn a living by picking up 4.8-cent nickels. This summer, that applies to just that commodity, nickel. It certainly looks cheap. It has halved in price since peaking in 2014. Now, there are plenty of negatives out there, of course. Supply growth from smelters in China and Indonesia has yet to abate. Forced destocking from end users and traders has only made matters worse. Goldman Sachs forecasts that net supply will triple in 2018 from the estimated 37,000 tons this year. Of course, if prices for anything fall low enough, no one makes a living. Frankly, that day is not so far off for nickel. It currently trades at around $4 per pound on a spot basis. At that price, 40% of world nickel output loses money, according to RBC. That comes before considering the added capital costs for mines and processing plants. What looks like a disaster, though, may in fact prove a buying opportunity if supply is curtailed. For one thing, making anything at a loss is not sustainable. For another, Chinese makers often use a polluting process involving sticking cheap imported pig iron into blast furnaces to separate out the nickel. Given China's move to crack down on environmental hazards, it's possible Beijing may eventually stop this practice. On the other hand, nickel demand is admittedly not super strong, but it has promise. Again, much depends on China. It is responsible for over half of global consumption, and that should grow at 6% annually over the next 2 years. Also, nickel demand from battery makers should take up some slack if electric cars reach a tipping point on demand. It's really supply that needs to readjust. So, contrarian investors should consider those nickel producers which have the most exposure to nickel, as the big miners, such as Vale and Glencore, have less direct exposure to the metal. The world's largest producer, Russia's Norilsk Nickel, makes about 1/3 of its revenues from the rust-proofing metal. Others, such as loss-making Sherritt of Canada and Eramet, heavily depend on nickel too. Though nickel's reputation with investors may have been tarnished in recent years, prices cannot fall forever without some supply response in the months ahead.